The place, Corriganville, California. The time, early morning, any day. You see, folks that come here say this place is timeless. And in a way, I guess you might say it is. Because this place stands as an epitaph to an era, so wild in adventure and rich in romance that it has captured the hearts of Americans.
Howdy, folks. My name's Crash Corrigan. I'd like to tell you a story. You see, it's a true story. It's the story of my life. It all happened back in the 1930s. The motion picture industry had problems, like you and I. Their problems were that they needed fresh ideas, new faces, and different locations. It was about that time that I went on a hunting trip and I discovered this peaceful spot.
Of course, there was nothing here except scenic mountains and valleys. Soon, however, all was not quiet. Something new was added. The motion picture studios flocked here to use these beautiful backgrounds for their films. Among them was yours truly. You know, I really enjoyed those days. Those were the days of endless trailblazing. Of course, all this was for law and order. Perhaps you remember some of these film clips. Scenes from my Three Musketeers series. And here I am, hanging on the edge of a cliff with no place to go. Of course, you know I couldn't stay there forever, so something had to happen. Oh boy, that rope came just in time, and my painted stallion pulled me up over the top. This way, Tucson. That's right, over the hills. You know, they called me Tucson in the Three Musketeers. I took a little shortcut. This is another way of greeting my pal here. We just stopped for a little chat. Remember that black stallion? Could he jump? You know, some of these wildest stunts, those are the ones that brought the biggest box office. We thought nothing of wrecking a few wagons in the picture. This is from the Undersea Kingdom. I was Crash Corrigan, remember in that one? And that water, I'll let you in on a little secret, was only 4 feet deep, and boy did I hit that bottom fast. You know, we didn't have hydraulic brakes in those days. And when I wanted to talk to that leader team, you know, I had to do it this way. Boy, they're going full speed ahead. Uh-oh. Looks like something happened. You You know, pictures wouldn't be any good if nothing ever happened in them. You know, that's another way of getting into a wagon. Now we'll try it again. This time I'll spraddle out a little bit more. This is the first episode of the Undersea Kingdom where I was a naval officer. That little jump was only about 15 feet to the rope and about 15 feet more to the horses. Yes, I did quite a bit of stunt work in those days. Then there was the time, during one of the Three Musketeer films, that the script called for me escaping danger by climbing down a 400-foot cliff. Well, anyway, it looked like 400 feet, and that's all I really had was just that rope. I used no safety devices of any kind. But you know, pictures wouldn't be any good if nothing ever happened in them. Pictures that I made were always famous for having lots of action. Little did I realize that there was danger afoot. The rope was breaking, and there was that long drop. What happened? I was killed. Well, seriously speaking, all in all, you can see why this country brings back such fond memories.
I built my home here. And then I just plain sat down, relaxed, and enjoyed the whole 2,000 acres of it. But you know, after a while, I got to thinking. It's a shame that other people can't enjoy it with me. People like you. So I decided to do something about it. And believe me, I did something about it. I opened up the whole ranch, every part of it, for my friends and you. It was then called the Ray Corrigan Ranch, but we changed that to Corriganville. Corriganville is the Old West's last living frontier.
But let me show you what I mean. While nearing Corriganville, your first view is that of the Simi Valley. And before you know it, you've arrived at my ranch. Like the sign says, through these gates pass the world's most famous people. Why not you? Our first point of interest is the cavalry post of Fort Apache. It's a replica of the old famous outpost of Western history. More than 200 films have been shot here. Among them is the famous Rin Tin Tin series. You've no doubt seen them on television or in theaters. You've seen these sets in many, many pictures. That's the officers' quarters. There are many other motion picture sets and plenty of natural caves to explore. And next, we arrive at the Robin Hood Lake. It was so named because of the many Robin Hood pictures that were made here, such as the Three Musketeers with Lana Turner and Gene Kelly. This area has all the ranches, which is still utilized by motion picture studios because of its lush beauty. The public finds it a favorite site for picnics under the big giant oaks. Perhaps you'll find adventure in exploring the Robin Hood Forest by paddle wheel boat. This unusual ride is enjoyed by people of all ages. That waterfall has been used in many motion pictures. Perhaps you recall having seen it before in such famous pictures as The Robe. However, while some prefer exploring the Robin Hood Forest on foot, still others enjoy a leisurely ride on our Corriganville buses. These buses take you for a tour over the entire ranch and around the Robin Hood Lake. This is the famous camera car road where they make most of the running shots for motion pictures. You see this road used all the time for stagecoaches where they make the transfers. It's a real thrilling place. Now, our passports are in order to climb aboard the Corriganville Whirlybird. In this manner, we can get a true perspective and bird's eye view of the true vastness of our ranch. In the distance, we see the rugged Burma Road. This was so named after the film of the same title, starring Clark Gable. And once again, we'll be heading for the Robin Hood Forest. Only this time, we'll be over it. Silvertown, the western street where practically one half of the western motion pictures are photographed.
We think this is quite a town. In fact, it is a real town. Even the United States government realizes this because I'm a postmaster. You'll find us listed in every United States Post Office directory as Corriganville, California.
The point of interest which intrigues all, the heritage and feeling of the Old West. Who were these men that we talk about in song, legend, like Billy the Kid and Jesse James? Corriganville is the only place where you can go and actually relive the West and witness the now famed exploits of those gunmen and gunfighters. Take, for instance, the famous gunfight at the OK Corral. Now, there's conflicting stories as to how it all got started. But to the best of my knowledge, here is the true story as recreated by our own actors on Silvertown Main Street. The date was October 25th, 1881. The place, Tombstone, Arizona. In a few minutes, guns would blaze and men would die on a little piece of ground called the OK Corral. And because of the significant fact that the fight at hand would have a direct influence on the taming of this town and others, it would for all time be inscribed in history books as the most famous gunfight of all. People fled when they saw that the showdown was at hand. For coming down the street now were the famed lawman and gunman dentist Doc Holliday, Morgan Earp, Wyatt Earp, and Virgil Earp. And in the corral itself was the stooge sheriff of Tombstone, pleading with the arch enemies of the Earps, Tom McLowry, his brother Frank, Billy Clanton, and old man Ike Clanton. Sheriff Bean didn't want any trouble, although he seemed to have encouraged it in days before. But now the argument was turning from words to bullets, and he wanted out. Wyatt called for the men to leave the corral. Tom McLowry caused a false movement, and the firing started. Brother Frank was hit in the stomach. Old man Clanton wanted out of the fight and escaped unharmed. Tom McLowry ran to get his shotgun from his horse, but caught lead from Doc Holliday's sawed-off shotgun. Died under his own horse. Young Billy Clanton was the bravest and continued firing throughout the fight. Doc was playing cat and mouse with the wounded Frank McLowry and then finally killed him. Billy Clanton was finally killed by Wyatt, but not until wounding Virgil in the left calf and Morgan in the shoulder.
smoke cleared away, there were men there dying and dead. As to what really happened at the Battle of the OK Corral, historians are still arguing as to this day what really happened in those 30 seconds on that very small plot of ground. But like in all our recreations, whether it's the killing of Belle Starr, the day Billy the Kid became an outlaw, or the hanging of Henry Plummer, we sort of leave the final decisions to you.
Crash Corrigan, you want it on the set.
Okay, Ed, don't get your dander up. I'll be with you in a minute. Well, folks, I'll have to go now. I hope you enjoyed our little tour. We didn't get to see everything, but we will when you come out to visit with me. Well, come on, Flash.
Crash, are you ready for the next scene?
Yep, ready anytime you are.
Well, take 5 and we'll dress the set.
Right. That'll give me a chance to talk to our guest. You know, folks, my career as an actor has been an exciting and a rewarding one. So many people that come out here visiting me here at Corriganville ask me, how can I become an actor? You know, folks, everybody more or less is a potential actor. But to become successful in the motion picture business, you've got to do many things to become an actor. And that is, first of all, you've got to study hard. You got to know script analysis. You got to know how to work with groups, timing, coordination, picking up cues, many things. And you know, at times, you even have to do Shakespeare. That's right. And besides that, you have to work in a training ground where you have all the natural settings that you use in motion pictures. You have to have real cameras, real equipment, microphones like we use professionally with booms, a crew around. And in order to do these things and make it seem real, you have to have training. It's like dancing. You can't dance without practicing. So, if you want to become an actor, you've got to go somewhere where they have a real academy for motion picture acting. And that's what we have here at Corriganville, the Academy of Motion Picture Acting. So, if you're interested, we'd like to have you come out and visit me here. I've got work to do on this picture, so if you'll excuse me, and we'll talk about this when we have more time.
Okay, Dad, give me speed.